and welcome to the Victorious Living Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nikeya Young, and our co-host and amazing producer,
Rodney Young Jr. Nice to be back.
Yes, so we're back. It's season 8 if you are tuning in with us for the very first time. This is episode 2, or episode 82 to be exact, season 8, and our theme for this season is the simple life. So I know when you guys hear The Simple Life, you are probably thinking of a very popular former reality TV show. Do you remember that show? The Simple Life?
There was a show called The Simple Life?
Yeah, there was a show called The Simple Life with Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton. It was hilarious. That's probably why I don't know. I think it either came on VH1 or MTV or something.
Totally
and basically right there.
MTV.
Mm-hmm. MTV. And so basically what the premise of the show was it takes these popular heiresses, these princess, prissy, influencers before influencers was a thing. And it plops them into, they trade in their fancy schmancy lifestyles to live with different families on farms.
Oh, okay.
And has them like doing yard work and milking cows and just all these crazy challenges.
Nice.
It was a really hilarious reality TV show back in the day. There was a time when Paris Hilton was more famous than Kim Kardashian. And Kim Kardashian was actually Paris's assistant. I know. Whole generation of kids that are like, who is Paris Hilton? Anywho, this Simple Life is not that, but it's basically the premise of how to simplify your life so that you can thrive in 2025. How can you scale things back? Mm-hmm. And if you listen to last week's episode, if you didn't, go catch up. But last week we were talking about how our pastor said something in church that the more options, the more choices you have, it can actually be the root of depression or lead to depression. And it's like, whoa. And when you unpack that a bit, as we did in the service and definitely last week too, when you have way too many options, it is overwhelming. And that overwhelm that you feel, that anxiety, is something that can cause you to be paralyzed. It can cause, in business, analysis paralysis.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's all these choices and
yeah,
I don't know what to choose. So you're just in a constant state of analyzing everything. I could do this or I could do that. And, oh, that looks good too. And, I'm just kind of mulling over my choices. And that mulling over my choices leads you to not making a decision. And you need to make decisions so you can move forward and you can thrive. And so all this season, we're going to be talking about various ways that you can simplify your life in your professional life and in your personal life, in your family life. So today's episode is called It's This One Thing. And yes, it's one of my favorite early 2000s bops by A-Marie, that she had a song called One Thing. But today's episode is how can you streamline your business offerings? And you don't have to narrow it down to one thing, but that's just, you can. But essentially, how can you scale back your offerings so that when your customers go to your website, it's not like, whoa, there's all these options to choose from. And then they get stuck in analysis paralysis. Oh, I could have him do that, or I could have her do that. Oh, maybe that looks good too. And then they just visit your website and look at your smorgasbord menu over and over again, and then go to somebody else who made things simple for them to make a decision. And I'll get back to that other business later. You don't want people to say that about you. So we're talking about how to scale back in business and how powerful that is.
Yeah. So this is a great topic because, you know me, I love business and I love simplification. I was actually quite shocked when you told me that that's what you wanted to talk about for the whole season.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because when I think about simplification, And like, I'm big on that already. You already know, like, I'm a simple dude. Like, I don't like complexity. I don't like clutter. I don't like a whole bunch of stuff. Right. And I was just like, you gonna talk about simplicity?
The shade.
It's not shade. It's not. It's just, it's reality. Like, you are the person with all the extra, the vibrance, the this and that, the person that got like 1 billion certifications and does a lot of things. And like, I'm like, you want to talk about like something that's like in my world? Oh my gosh.
I do. I can do simple life.
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this works. We'll see. And I don't know if you noticed, but in the spirit of last week's episode, I wore the one thing that I wore during 2021, which was this t-shirt.
Black t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like for I don't know how long, probably almost a year, every day I wore the same thing because I wanted to eliminate complexity from my life, because I was growing the business from one level to another that year. And I'm like, I need to focus. And I need to take out any and everything that would hinder my focus. And one of those simple things was what to wear every day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to think about that. So, so I used to wear this one thing every day.
Yes.
So I need to go back to that. And I also did another thing based on last week's episode.
Okay.
As I did order a custom polo shirt.
Hey,
So
I love it. I love it.
So what I'm going to attempt to do, we'll see how I like it, but is wear my branded polo shirt every day.
Yeah. So we talked about how to just have a standard uniform.
Yeah.
For your business. And one of my things is, we talked about last week, all of my clothes and trying to scale back. So today I have on a simple t-shirt that is the vibrant yellow Victorious Living Solutions color. Our color is that goldish yellow and that bright blue. And so I'm wearing a VLS color. I am going to order myself some custom merch, and I'm going to create some custom merch that you can buy too. And to simplify my life, henceforth, whenever you see me on this podcast, with very few exceptions, I will either be wearing one of the VLS colors or our customized merchandise. That's it.
Yeah, simplification.
No more buying 10 to 12 outfits.
Thank God.
Every podcast season for seasons on end.
Killing the budget, man.
Killing the budget, leading to bins and bins of clothes and
that you wore one time.
Yeah, because you can't repeat an outfit on a podcast season. And so, new season's time to get new outfits. Not doing that anymore. Not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So business. So here's the thing. So in my business, I'm the president and CEO of Thrive NPO, a nonprofit marketing firm, and YCS Web Agency, a Wix website design agency firm. And in those businesses, over the years, I have worked on simplifying offerings. I've gone through many phases of this, and I thought it would be nice to talk about this as an example, right? Yeah. So why should you simplify your offerings? Like, why not just offer everybody everything? Like, you don't want people to pass you up.
Absolutely.
So you feel like you got to talk about everything. You got to offer everything that people would potentially need. But customers actually have a really hard time buying when there's too many choices.
They absolutely do.
I mean, think about it. I mean, when you go to Cheesecake Factory, man, I mean, it's just like...
I'm serious. How many flavors of cheesecake do they have?
I don't know, man.
There's got to be at least 100.
That menu is
all
like,
this time
crazy.
I've been eating, like being in Chicago, and have all the times I've been to Cheesecake Factory, I think I've only had like 3 flavors.
Yeah.
And there's like hundreds on their menu. That's too much.
Yeah. So, I mean, just, you notice certain brands nowadays have trimmed down their menu. And it's helping them stay alive. You know what I'm saying? Because when you give people fewer options, people can make that choice and move. You know, there's clarity. When I see too many choices, it's like my head starts hurting. I'm just like, man, I don't.
You just tune out.
And so,
and that's the last thing you want, is for people to tune your business out.
Yeah. So in the first phase of our business, you remember those days?
Yes, I do.
Because our business was born out of, pretty much a crisis. I had a job that asked me to do something real stupid. And it was against my convictions, and I decided not to do it, and I had to walk away. And so, to my wife's brilliant advice, fellas, listen to your wife. Why don't you go ahead and just build some of those websites, or while you're interviewing, that can help to close the gap. So I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. And that ended up becoming our company, which was at the time called Young Creative Services. What we did with that company, we weren't just doing websites. We did everything.
Yeah.
Everything you could think of.
A
creative.
hub for creative people. They need pictures. They need, what were we offering? Voiceover demos. So you can come and we can help you create a voiceover demo. And we got
video production.
Video production. You need
website design, any and everything, graphic design, logos, anything you could possibly think of that came in that.
You need as a creative person. We can help you with that.
Yeah. So we basically threw everything on the wall to see what stuck, right? I was
flung the whole pot of spaghetti
I would
at the wall.
finish, doing a website for someone, and then I gotta go because I got a photo shoot. So it was crazy. It was fun too. I mean, it was a lot of fun. But after about a year, we realized that websites were more of a sweet spot for us. That was
the thing that was sticking.
That was what was sticking. That was what was the most profitable. It also was the thing that was most scalable. Meaning, it could go up a lot further than some of the other areas without a whole bunch of issues. So we decided to focus on that. We rebranded in 2021 as YCS Web Agency.
Yeah.
So that process from 2016 to 2021, when we made that switch to really focus in on that, our revenue tripled in that year, and that was pretty major. So in that regard, we just pared it down to websites. Now within the website space, there's a whole bunch of other stuff too, right? So we realized that we were offering all kinds of other services related to websites. So we might go in and fix this. Okay, so then that's this price. Then we got to do this. So we were offering many different types of services within the website. We were also working on pretty much any platform you wanted.
Yeah.
So if you had a WordPress website, we'll build that. Squarespace, okay, we'll build that. Wix, okay, we'll build that. And we realized that we're really, really good at one platform, Wix. So we cut out all the other platforms, and that meant we actually turned down some business. There was a client that we had, long-term client, for that, we had them for about a year. They were WordPress, and it was killing our process because it was too complex.
Yeah.
So we decided to let that go. Once again, revenue went up again. Every year, it's gone up at least 30%. And that has been a testament. But then also it's like less for me to manage in my brain. Like, okay, what are we doing for this customer again? So, because there's so many different things.
And because he became so proficient at Wix, he is a Wix Pro. What is your official ranking title?
Apparently, I'm a legend.
Yeah, Wix Pro legend.
So legend, the legend level. So by focusing on one platform, we became the experts. We're literally in the top 5 of the whole Illinois, area, Midwest company in that regard. So that really established us as true subject matter experts, true leaders in a field. And it gives us a lot of credibility. And now we can leverage that. We could raise our prices. And we've even gone further. Even this year, we pared down our offerings even more. So instead of offering so many different packages at so many different prices, we have 3 packages. We narrowed it down to 3 packages. And then that's it. If you want something outside of that, then we do have a custom offering, but that's like super duper expensive. So it's worth it, right? But beyond that, we stick to 3 packages, and that is streamline every process that we have.
I'm hearing streamlining processes. I'm hearing less is more. Absolutely. So with Victorious Living Solutions, the same thing, like being a public speaker, there's a lot that I can speak on. And I remember in some of my earlier websites just kind of listing different topics that I've spoken on.
We had like a long list of topics. I remember that the first time around. Yeah.
And then the last option was, or, I could, give me an idea and I could customize a talk around your event or something. And it was just like, okay, I didn't really get as many hits off of that.
And when you did, I remember this, when you did, you had to make a new speech and a whole new presentation every single time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so with our company now, I have basically 3 packages or 3 talks. There's Get Your Mind Right, there's Taking Dominion, and there's Command Your 24. Yeah, Command Your 24. And that is, Command Your 24 is an online course. I can do, signature talks on it, like workshop facilitation. So there's different things that I can do within each of those 3 topics. But essentially, I'm just focusing on those 3 topics. And let me tell you, that has revolutionized Victorious Living Solutions, because I have done so many press interviews. I've done so many workshops and different things. Because all of those topics, what do they have in common? They talk about things that I'm passionate about. I'm always talking about the importance of setting goals and stuff. You guys have heard me talk about that numerous times on the podcast. And so I took that and I created Command Your 24. And so anytime anybody wants me to talk about any of that stuff, they can look at that. And they can look at, there's an 8-week course. You guys should check it out at commandyour24.com, shameless plug. And so they can pick any of the titles of any of those 8 modules and say, we want you to give a talk on this within the Command Your 24. Get Your Mind Right. I am a mental health champion. I'm a board certified mental health coach. And so I'm always talking about things that pertain to mental health and wellness. And that led me to create Get Your Mind Right. That has made me a recurring contributor on WGN's Daytime Chicago. I've been on there numerous times. WGN is like one of the biggest news outlets in the country. And so because I scaled back and not like, I can talk about this, I can talk about this, I can talk about that.
Yeah.
Or you can make something up, I can talk about that. Making yourself streamlined makes you easier to find.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It makes you easier to find. It also helps to boost your SEO. If you're I've made a name for myself as the mental health and wellness girl, so to speak. Just people seeing my segment. Hey, I liked what you talk about on Daytime Chicago. Can you come on my podcast and talk about something similar? Or can we expound on that? Or something to that effect. And especially May being Mental Health Awareness Month. That's like my time to shine. And this month, someone asked me to be a panelist for an event that's going to take place at H&M clothing store downtown Chicago for an organization called Black and Corporate. How did they find me? They saw me talking about mental health and wellness on multiple news outlets, and I wasn't here, there, and everywhere. I was niched in on one subject.
Yeah.
And it's Mental Health and Awareness Month. They wanted a mental health expert. And they found me. I didn't even have to go to them. They reached out to me and asked me, would I come and be a panelist? And I happily agreed. So yeah, when you niche back and you focus on 1 to 3 areas you're good at, and that's it. And you focus on being the best you can possibly be in those 1 to 3 areas, you make yourself the go-to person for those areas.
Yeah. So there's a lot of fear around this because when you start to simplify anything, it means you're cutting out things.
Yeah.
It means you're saying no, essentially. You're saying no to potential clients. You're saying no to different ways you can make impact, right? It seems like a limitation, but for you, I mean, did you deal with any of that when you started thinking about, because I remember having this conversation about we got too many offerings. So what was the fear, concern that you were having and how to deal with it?
I don't even know if I would say that it was a fear. It was just kind of like, okay, the best way I can describe it is back to my clothes example.
Oh boy, these clothes.
So I know
The bins are still here, y'all. Whoever listened last week, the bins of clothes are still here. I'm looking at them.
Oh, it's a process. It's gonna be
Hold her accountable.
It's gonna be a long summer. So it's not it's not that like you don't know you need the extra space. It's not that you don't want to get rid of things. It's when you start going through, you have an attachment to each thing. So it's like, okay, we're going to get rid of something. Oh, but not that. That's my baby. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite. I wore that to such and such. Oh, I have such wonderful memories about that.
Get rid of it.
We're just going to keep that. We'll go to something else. Oh, I don't want to give away that either. It's the same thing. So it wasn't a fear for me. It was the things that I was talking about. I really was passionate about them. You know, these were subjects that I'd spoken on, things I'd lived, things that I like talking about these subjects. Even like, oh, I can talk about homeschooling. Oh, I put out a book in 2017 called Virtue Chic, Classy Takes Center Stage. It's all about being a virtuous woman in the 21st century. It's a great book. You should check that out. But so I would talk about subjects pertaining to that. Oh, I could talk about this. So it's kind of like, oh, okay, all right. So I could go to you for homeschooling stuff. I could go to you for parenting. So you're a parenting advice coach. No. Oh, okay, but you're talking about being virtuous and so you're a purity coach. No. So being here, there, and everywhere, even though I still talk about these things if I'm asked, I don't advertise that.
You don't focus on it.
I don't focus on that. And it doesn't mean I'll never speak on those other topics ever again. It doesn't mean that. Obviously, I have a TEDx talk called Let's Normalize Homeschooling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, people may ask me to be a part of homeschooling conferences. I've done that and that's fine. But I'm not advertising that. Even though I could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It would fragment me too much because putting energy into that pulls my energy away from my 3 packages that I'm offering through Victorious Living Solutions. And I need to give that all of my energy so I can scale. Those are the things that are profitable. Those are the things that are making me the most money, that are getting me the most opportunities. So doing all these side things lessens what I can do over here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there are 3 areas that I want to talk about on the way out, just to give you guys something that's actionable for your businesses. Mm-hmm. 3 areas that you want to think about when you simplifying and streamlining. So the first thing is actually your audience. Think about who you are talking to. As a marketing pro, I can tell you right now that if you think that you're talking to everybody, you're not talking to anybody.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many times I get this when someone wants to do a website. I'm like, what's your target audience? Well, I just want to reach everybody. There's many different types of people I want to reach. And see, yeah, you think that initially, and maybe sometimes it's okay to cast a wide net at the beginning, but you have to focus in on an area that people are individual. Like, we're all unique, and there are people that have specific needs. When you can be the solution for a very specific need, okay? Mm-hmm.
Now you're talking.
I mean, now you right, exactly. Now you're doing it. So let's say you have a lawn service. Okay, well, who do you want to focus on? Well, anybody with grass. Anybody in grass, in the greater Chicago area. Okay, well, so that means you're gonna be cutting lawns, in Park Forest, and then you're gonna have to hike it all the way up to like Arlington Heights, and then you gotta go over to Villa Park, and then you gotta go down, I was gonna say in Chicago, but there ain't no grass. No, grass. No, they gotta go to Beverly. There's grass there. Beverly area of Chicago. And then so it makes you go crazy. Instead, saying we serve this specific community. So instead, you could say we focus on we serve families and residential properties in Mount Greenwood, Beverly, and one more area. So now what you've done is you've streamlined to a geographic area. Mm-hmm. You also cut out commercial. You said, I'm only going to do residential, right?
Yeah.
And so now you can focus on that specific group and find out what their needs are. And now you can only have to deal with those type of things. So then you become a real expert in that particular area. So they may have specific needs in their lawn that you probably don't see out in Arlington Heights. You know, maybe, you know, the air quality, you know, the soil, you know, it's different. So you can become a real expert on that. And then of course, if you're in the area and you could do well, likely what'll happen is they're going to talk to neighbors in that same geographic area.
Of referrals.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, focus on your audience, you know. Now, of course, the next thing is to survey your services, right? So think about, okay, out of all these services, which service serves my audience the best and is the most profitable? Okay, so think about those things. Once again, I did everything. I said, okay, you know, we could do custom logos. We can we can do photography, you know, we can do everything. We realized that the thing that was common and the thing that was the most scalable, meaning I can design a website in Arizona. You know, I don't have to be sitting in Chicago, but if I do a photo shoot, I have to meet that person, and you know, and there's travel involved and all that. Once again, if that's what you do, that's fine. I'm just saying, I realized that for me, that was the most scalable thing. So I had to scale down my services to one, what was I most proficient at, what was the most profitable, and also what would serve my audience the best. If you're thinking about your audience, then you're going to need to think about that. Once again, back to that lawn cutting example, if you focus on a geographic area, maybe you find that certain types of plants don't grow in that area. So you don't have to offer that type of service to deal with those type of plants. You only have to deal with what's in that area. So think about, you know, your audience, but also think about your services. The third thing is think about your processes. Okay. So think about how you deliver your service. How can you simplify and streamline it? Okay. In my example of my company, I used about, I don't know how many different softwares, you know, and different services to manage all my business. You know, I sent out invoices with this software. I sent out emails with this software. And so I was going in between many different softwares just to try to finish jobs. And it was getting stressful.
Yikes.
So I found out, and I was actually, you know, shout out to my team. You know, they really did a good job on finding a couple of softwares that really work well together. So we found a good CMS, you know, client, you know, management system, relationship system, CRM, and found, you know, really we handle about 3 or 4 different platforms that we use really to run the business. And then of course we streamlined the different platforms that we use for the website. So I'm like, okay, we don't build on these other platforms. We only build on this one.
Yeah.
And that way we could learn that one inside and out. And now, because we're only focused on one platform, we turn everything around way quicker. You know, it's a lot easier. We're not starting from scratch every time we're starting a project. We're very familiar with the processes. So find processes that work for you. And a process isn't just, you know, a software. Process could be how you show up every day.
Yep.
So one thing that I did accidentally, which was a blessing last week, was I had a day where I was really busy with one client engagement. So I just literally did not have time to get into my email until about noon. Okay. And so I normally, bad idea, sometimes start the day with email. Okay. You know, open up my email box, replying to everybody's requests. You know, I couldn't get to my email till about noon that day just because it was just a really busy day with this engagement. I went through every client email that I had. Answer. You know, I'll get back to you later. And I was done with it. And then I checked back again, you know, later that afternoon, and anything that some of the replies came back, right? Handled whatever needed to be handled with those. But I had these really discrete blocks of time, you know, where I just dealt with those emails. I wasn't in my email all day, and as a result, I got a ton of work done.
Sounds like not checking email all day. You know what makes that hard? Notifications. Notifications. So a way to simplify your life could be just turning your notifications off.
Yep.
And having set times where you check email and then moving on.
Yeah, and
I like that.
I don't even
like that.
I don't even have my email on my phone. So I would have to log in. Sometimes I do if I'm traveling, but I would have to log into my phone just to see what's going on, or log into my email on my phone. It's not just set. Most of our phones come with the email right there. You just set it up, and you get ding, 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 ding throughout the day. So yeah, so turning notifications off, simplifying. I told you I like this subject. So yeah,
It's gonna be a fun season.
Yeah, but those three areas, definitely recommend that you start there. You're gonna already find some big wins.
Absolutely. I will add to that, since doing the 3 packages and focusing in on those 3 topics with my speaking engagements, it has made life so much easier. So much easier. I get called to speak to mental health for different audiences. And so what I end up doing is taking the Get Your Mind Right package and say, I'm doing a presentation at a college. Okay. Sometimes I'll go back to the last time I spoke to a similar audience.
Yeah.
Hit copy in Canva and then just switch around a few logos and change one
just
or 2
customize
slides.
it, maybe based on what you know about the client.
Presentation's done.
But you're gonna still teach on the same ideas, the
Same
points.
ideas.
Right.
I may just add a few things or tweak a few things, take a few things away based on who I'm speaking to. But that's so much easier than having to start from scratch every time I do a presentation.
Absolutely.
How can you simplify your life?
Yeah.
What things can you do to work smarter, not harder?
Yeah.
In your business.
Share with us. I mean, hit us in the comments below. Let us know. Shoot us an email back. Reply back to us in an email. Let us know what are those areas that you're starting to work with specifically in your business. These 3 things that we talked about today, are there any of those 3 that you feel are most relevant to you? Please let us know. Reply back.
Yep. And as always, with all of our episodes, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Keep living victoriously. Bye, everybody.